and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode. I haven't a clue. Episode 292 for the week of January 3rd, 2017. Happy New Year to everyone here. Yay! Happy New Year. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who is God bless you. Who's here with me this Superman bless you. Who's here with you with me this week? With you this week?
Brock.
Sorry, I must be thinking of
Brock.
Sorry, I confused me with someone else.
Martha.
Bryce Larsen.
Toby.
And Charlie.
Hey, everyone's here. What's happening, guys? Did everyone have a good New Year?
Yep.
Toby, you still hungover?
Yeah, a little bit. Not hungover. My stomach is just upset.
Wait, why on earth do you think that Toby drank more than me? Why would you ask Toby that? Is he more
Toby's
prone to hangovers?
Toby's 35,
do you actually think he drank more than
going on 16. He drinks like a 16-year-old. What? Charlie's mesmerized by something.
Touché.
Your Batman cell up
Yeah,
there
there's
that's
new
got
stuff
a weird
on the
glare that I can't quite make out.
like
like
that.
a mouse. He's like fighting
Oh,
a
the
mouse.
Condiment King.
No, it's not the Condiment King. It's
No?
it's the one where Joker like makes a bunch of people. I think. No,
Well, that was the one with the Condiment King. Is
Yeah.
the one where
Where'd you
Joker
get that?
made a bunch.
it's not Joker. I think it's Mad Hatter makes a bunch of people become like bad superheroes and supervillains.
Can we get a sign language code thing for when it's bad radio so that I can just flash it across the table?
Sure.
I mean, you'd flash it at me, but I wouldn't care.
My friend that works at Warner Brothers got me that.
Oh, very
And
cool.
one of their,
awesome.
one of their
Is your
employee
friend
sales.
The goat
Very
cheese
cool.
guy?
The grilled cheese guy?
Yeah.
What?
Something blah blah cheese guy on Twitter?
Yes. Seth?
yeah.
Yes.
That's very cool. though.
Grilled cheese dip? Yes.
Yeah, see, I was close.
Anyway, Toby drinks a lot, and we're all here. We're all recovering from colds and hangovers and everything else.
2016 in general.
But I think we have to read some comic books. We're going to talk about some of that stuff. Do we just want to start with Civil War? Should we wake Bryce up and get him all
Dude,
feisty?
Okay, look.
No, hold on. We have Civil War,
No. Before we even get to that.
Geoff Johns' Twitter.
While we're still doing bad radio, I want to say really quick, if you guys like Hamilton, one or two of us on this podcast like the hip opera Hamilton by Lin-Manuel, and I'm brain farting on his
Miranda.
name. Miranda, thank you. I actually did know that, I swear. You should go on YouTube, and you should go look up the ASL. It's just the acronym ASL for the song Alexander Hamilton. You should go do this with Leanne tonight.
Okay.
It's this
The sign language version of it?
yes. So this young lady from, I believe, the U.S. women's volleyball team is apparently is deaf and is fluent in is ASL. It's just American Sign Language, right?
Yeah, it's American Sign Language. There's different versions of it across the world, but
I was going to say,
ASL
like,
is
is
American
sign language not universal? I would have maybe thought that incorrectly, but
there are differences between different like countries and stuff like that for what they have for certain things, but ASL is distinctively American Sign
got it.
Language.
Okay, so anyway, this version she sings or she signs to the song Alexander Hamilton, one of the first songs in the show. In fact, it is the first song in the Hamilton musical. So if
What
you
was
like
that
the musical,
bad radio signal again?
no, I'm telling people that if you want to see something really cool, you should go do this. It's kind of geek related. Now we can go on with the podcast.
Okay.
I'm telling you, you and Leanne will lose your minds.
Okay. I'll watch
really
it.
cool.
Okay. I'll watch it. So we can hear about Geoff Johns' Twitter. We can hear about what I posted on Twitter, or we can talk about Civil War. Bryce, what do you hate least?
Oh, God.
One's lists and sales charts info.
No. You
One
get this
is-
wrong every time, and it makes me more mad than you reading lists. I legitimately like the sales numbers. Like, I think that is fascinating look to the industry. I hate it when you're like, and this is what Marvel's going to be delaying. Old Man Logan,
I don't
number
do that.
3. All New Wolverine, number 14.
It is rare that I
The
do
Mighty
that.
Thor, number 14. There was, when I first started making fun of you, that's exactly what you'd been doing. And you haven't done it in a long time, and I don't know if that's just because a change of your style or
No, that was the Secret
took-
Wars delays because we were pissed off because of the pre-order. It fucked up the pre-orders.
Yeah, that makes it much better radio, said nobody. So what I actually like is the sales stuff, so I want to do that last.
Okay.
I want to get over this little, I don't even know what he said on Twitter, good or bad, so I guess let's knock that out.
Geoff
Actually,
Johns?
we could knock out Civil War, because I don't actually have that much to say. But let's do this Twitter thing because it sounds innocuous and irrelevant.
Okay. Well, Geoff Johns announced 5 things that he's very excited for 2017, and a little bit of news in here that's worth talking about. He said that he's excited for all the TV shows they have on TV.
What number is this? Because remember, he puts a number in front of each one.
I don't think it really matters, considering he said no in no particular order.
Well,
I didn't know he said that.
I'm starting at number 5 and going up. He says, Flash, Arrow, Gotham, Legends, Lucifer, Supergirl, and one more, which will be announced soon. So another TV show, another DC TV show. I'm assuming this also includes iZombie, Preacher, Powerless, the shows that already are announced. So there's another DC show coming on.
Are Preacher and iZombie, are they all under his umbrella as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, not his. He's DC Films now. But it's under DC Entertainment.
Oh, I thought that he was just DC Entertainment.
No, he's
only Films.
He's the co-head of DC Films now.
Oh,
yep.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Of course, we have the sequel to Injustice. So there's a new Injustice game coming out this year, which I will be happy to watch the movie online and probably not play the game because I'm not a big fighting game fan.
Yeah, me neither.
He is particularly excited about a first live-action Mera. Mera was on the Smallville TV show, but this is like
First movie.
Yeah. So he seems very particularly excited about Mera, but he's a big Mera fan. Of course, the Wonder Woman film.
A nice picture with that.
Yeah, it's been the picture that's been floating around for a couple months now. Of course, the Wonder Woman film coming out shortly, and the number one thing he's excited for, and I am also excited for, is writing comics again. And this was posted along with a picture of Dr. Manhattan. So get ready for, it sounds like 2017 is going to be that DC Universe versus Watchmen, at least some aspect of it, if not the whole event. So
Is that going to be their summer thing? Have they announced what they're doing for the summer thing yet?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. So as with that whole DC Watchmen bit, the next major chapter from what we had Rebirth. We've had little bits of it in Detective, Action, Flash, Titans. The next major part of it, though, is going to be in a 4-part Superman crossover that's in March, I believe. That's between Action and Superman, and that's going to be the kind of what's up with the New 52 Superman, what's up with this version of Superman, and the reveal of Dr. Oz, Mr. Oz, and who he is and what his whole deal is. So that's going to be the next major chapter in the Rebirth stuff. So very, very excited for that.
So Mr. Oz is Ozymandias, correct?
I think so.
So
best guess.
Right, best guess.
It doesn't really work if you look at what this character has done and kind of how he's portrayed. It doesn't really seem like him, but I don't know who else it could be. It could be like an older Ozymandias, because you think naturally age him from the 80s to 2016, 2017.
He's like as old as Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Breaking his hips on X-Wing doors and stuff.
Sorry,
maybe. Millennium Falcon, sorry. Don't get mad.
Which is weird because it has ramps.
That is weird. So my question is, if I'm a supervillain and I'm trying to keep my identity secret and I'm as smart as Ozymandias, who's very smart, don't you think it's
Mr.
a little
Oz?
fucking on the nose to say, I will disguise my identity and I will go by the nom de plume, Mr. Oz, and nobody in the DC universe will see it coming.
Well,
fuck you, Batman.
Well, no one in the DC universe has ever heard of these people before, so...
Do people in the DC universe know that he calls himself Mr. Oz? Oh, no. You're saying that they don't know the Watchmen.
Yeah,
got it.
So to them, even if he called himself Ozymandias, it means nothing to them.
So they haven't... Okay, so they haven't met any of the Watchmen yet?
No.
Okay.
No. The closest has been the Charlton characters, and they're like an alternate universe version of the... the Watchmen characters are an alternate universe version of the Charlton characters.
What was the Charlton version of Ozymandias? So I didn't know that. I thought that they'd met before.
There's not exact one-to-one correlations with all the characters, but...
Okay, well, I think the DC Universe will kick their ass, and then Dr. Manhattan will come and... Unless he's playing a Vision in Marvel Civil War movie, he'll just
stand there
kill them all. So... But whatever.
So we're obviously very excited for this.
So do you think that Geoff Johns is actually going to write comics, or is it going to be another bloated, delayed, Forever Evil event?
No, I think he'll do the event. I think he'll do the big event.
What I'm saying is he did Forever Evil, and because of his schedule, he's a fucking busy guy.
I don't think that was Johns. I think that was
that was a Finch.
Yeah,
but his art got so bad it looked rushed.
Because it was rushed. He rushed through it.
I think they really screwed. So Rebirth has only missed one. Only one book has been delayed for Rebirth. Well, technically, All-Star Batman was pushed back a week as well. So 2 issues of Rebirth have been delayed out of.
And wasn't it a cover problem on one of them?
Green Lantern, right. Yeah. Green Lantern was delayed 1 week because of a cover problem. All-Star Batman, I believe, was legitimately just pushed back a week or 2. Out of, 250 some odd issues, plus they're shipping a weekly event right now, so the 6 issues in a row. So DC has had a pretty good track record for a limited amount of delays recently. I know Doom Patrol's been delayed a little bit, but that's sort of its own thing. So,
dude, what you're saying?
Well, Dark Knight's obviously way off schedule, but that's.
I know. So
Dark Knight had a schedule.
The only 2 things that you just mentioned are being delayed are with quote unquote celebrity writers.
Right.
So I mean, everything else, there's no quote unquote celebrity writers. But I'm saying once Geoff Johns comes back, he is another. Again, air quotes, celebrity writer.
But
so, why couldn't what they do with if it's delayed? I'm quite used to delayed books.
Yeah,
due to my comic book affinity.
What they did with Justice League Suicide Squad was, I mean, this has been in the can for a month now, and so because it's what's his face doing the art.
Well, there's a couple people doing art. There's
it's Tony Daniel
and
why am I blanking on the guy that did number 1?
Layman or Fabok?
No, Jason Fabok. Yeah. So there's a couple artists, but they're obviously you're shipping this book weekly. These guys have been working on this for a while. So,
and I mean, in general, yes, there was Forever Evil in terms of delays, but Johns has very rarely had to have one of his books delayed.
Yeah, that's why I think it wasn't him.
Justice League, there was a little bit of delays there, wasn't there?
For the New 52 stuff?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, I don't understand how any writer is the cause of the delays other than Frank Miller, who just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, when Bendis, love him or hate him, publishes, I mean, he fucking writes at least 5 books a month, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's one of his own creations or Iron Man or...
Well, we can talk about Civil War 2 here in a second.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a...
Yeah. So we're going to talk Civil War 2 here, so if you don't want spoilers, you probably want to skip ahead a good 10, 20 minutes or so.
Give us at least 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes.
Probably more than that.
But
I don't know
dealing
what...
with Bryce multiplied by at least 3 or 4.
Yeah, I don't know how that book got so delayed or what would have caused the delays of Civil War 2. It wasn't like they had to line up the story to something. So... it must just be the art, but then why extend it by an issue? It was like Civil War 2 had. Man, it's like Marvel has just had every event book.
As far as I remember.
I don't know if Original Sin was
I'm sure it was.
I think, Original Sin, I think, had a slight delay in the middle, but it wasn't anything.
If one issue ships a week or 2 late, like that's not, I don't care about that.
I'm drinking a Sun King Brewery Osiris to get over my bro heartache over here. At least one person will get that.
But let's talk about Civil War 2, because if you go back, to the summer when we were first started talking about this book, I legitimately liked the first handful of issues, but man, I struggle to find a reason to say anything good about the last few issues of this series. We never actually talked about Luke Cage here fully on the show.
What?
Yeah, we never talked about
comic or the show.
The show. I don't think we never really talked about it.
Your incorrect hatred is well published across various mediums.
Luke Cage?
Yeah.
Well, I think Luke Cage and Civil War have oddly similar problems.
What the fuck?
I think they start off really good, and then nothing happens for the rest of the series, and it was way too long, and could have been resolved in one issue or 1 or 2 episodes, and it it's dull and boring.
That is a tenuous connection.
No, I think they both have the same problem. They were like Civil War.
That's true about
Civil War should have been 4 issues.
Yes, that I agree with.
Yeah, and Luke Cage probably wouldn't have been a great show if it was 6 episodes.
That is, I think, a direct quote from me from a couple podcasts ago.
Yeah, except it was 13. I finally finished it, and what a slog that show was. Holy shit. But we're going to talk about Luke Cage. Maybe we can talk about Luke Cage in another episode.
Yeah, you're fucking crazy. It didn't need to be 6. It could have, told a great story in 8.
Let's talk about Civil War 2 here.
Probably not 10.
We'll talk about Luke Cage later.
Let's never talk about Luke Cage.
Civil War 2. That last issue was really bad.
Dude, I just have to completely fucking disagree with you. It wasn't bad. It was just that,
pointless.
It was just pointless, which I think is different than bad.
That's almost worse.
It's almost worse. I read this and I was waiting. At the end, literally nothing happened.
Yeah.
Tony is dead but not dead, which, by the way, thanks, Marvel, I figured out in Infamous Iron Man #1. By the way, they're on Infamous Iron Man #3. So, double shipping, I don't know exactly what the timing was, but, when I read #1, I was like, how long ago did that come out? Don't answer. So I was like, what the fuck? Okay, Iron Man is dead. And by the way, by then, Civil War 2 #8 had come out. And wait, pass me fucking Civil War #2. You know how they, spoil the last cover on the last page of the previous issue?
Yeah.
So on the fucking last page of Civil War #2,
number 7.
Sorry, Civil War 2 #7. It teases the cover for Civil War #8, which is a picture of fucking Iron Man's helmet, by the way, full of bullet holes. Spoiler alert, he fights Captain fucking Marvel, who doesn't fire bullets. So, I'm just gonna say that. He also doesn't fight anybody else in the comic. Nobody's firing bullets at him. But anyway.
Captain Marvel, straight up villain by the end of this series. I don't see how anyone can disagree with this.
Dude, that's just wrong. No.
Kills Iron Man and then is like, oops. Oh well.
Dude,
hey
are you
Obama.
Fucking crazy.
Hey Obama. Goodbye. I'm gonna go try to be a hero again.
No,
what?
no. You're half right. So look, there's a scene in this book. I think that you're fucking crazy for saying that. She is the hero. He's the fucking villain.
What the hell are you talking about?
Iron Man, listen to me. They are fighting. She's just like, look, I'm going to profile this motherfucker, and I'm going to take him in for custody. So they start fighting. Okay, by the way, do you know who practically kills Captain America? There's a scene in this page, okay? He literally fires 3 fucking warheads, okay? She is punching him and blasting him. There is 0 collateral damage. She's fighting Iron Man and Captain America. By the way, I wanted to think about a whole bit that I wanted to do about how Iron Man... I couldn't, so I'm going to just do it now. About how Iron Man, hates rum with all his alcoholic problems because he hates the captain. Because he's only ever fighting captains. He's fighting Captain America or he's fighting Captain Marvel. And I wanted to look up some good, other heroes or villains with the name Captain. The next, Civil War 3 will be
fought Captain Britain.
It'll be World War 4, and it'll be him against Captain Britain. Thanks for stealing my line. Not that it was that good, but anyway. So she's only fighting him. She's only hitting him. Okay.
No,
it is well documented in this book.
She calls in.
She is only fighting him.
She calls in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
In this scene, he releases 3 fucking warheads from his rocket launchers. You know what she does? She fucking dodges them. She sidesteps them, and they kill Captain fucking America.
No, they don't.
They don't kill Captain America.
Okay, so first of all, they don't. But second of all, look at this art. When I was reading this, I was like, holy fuck.
That's pretty ragdoll.
He looks like a fucking ragdoll. I was like, Iron Man just killed Captain America, and that's how they fulfill this prophecy, is what I'm thinking when I'm reading that.
So it's just like Vision killing...
And then, you know what he says in his next line? His direct next line is, to her, great job not killing Cap just then. What the fuck? You just fired 3?
No, his line is he's making sure he's alive.
Okay, yeah. I was saying his next line to Captain Marvel.
person? Okay.
Yes. But anyway, so, and then she's like, damn you, which is the fucking stupidest comeback ever. Spider-Man, meanwhile, can do everything a spider can except for get out of this glass bubble. But fuck if anything else happens in this comic book. She, goes absolutely ballistic on him, but he's also going ballistic on... I'm not sure how they even have a comic book this long with her not obliterating him. Isn't her fucking,
They've been fighting for four issues.
Isn't her, alternate codename fucking binary? How does she have all this backup and all these powers and she can't beat, Hulkbuster armor? By the way, the Hulk can beat fucking Hulkbuster armor, and this is, the flying version, which I'm not even sure Hulkbuster armor could do.
I think this is Marvel Buster armor.
This fucking... if you guys look at how much destruction the Hulkbuster armor takes in, the first fucking page of this comic, the fact that it hasn't fallen apart... Look at how much she is just destroying this armor in the opening pages. Meanwhile, it's, not coming apart. She, rips his helmet off, halfway through the comic, and they keep on fighting for several pages. It's very fucking weird. And then she, takes him out like a Nova Star after, they are going back and forth, 12-year-olds, stand down. No, you stand down. No, you stand down. No, you stand down. And then every... superhero in the Marvel Universe who started the issue saying, no, we're not going to get involved, is oh, we better get involved. Everybody converge at once. And then, they all just get to her by the time she does the little seven-handed, punch of death or whatever that was from Kill Bill. And then it kills Tony. But, oh, what the fuck? It doesn't kill Tony. And then we get another one of these fucking Brian Michael Bendis crazy ass splash page oramas where we have to sit through a bunch of splash pages that he got from his friends in the industry.
It's the ads for what's coming out.
Exactly like the end of Age of Ultron, which was a terrible issue, that last issue. Yes.
Monsters Unleashed.
It's just like that, dude. It is just
some
like
of
that.
it felt like it is definitely ads for what's coming out. Some of it just felt like here's a lot of potential futures that we've shown in comics over time.
It doesn't matter, though.
There's a fine line between stuff that is a preview and stuff that literally looks like an ad, and most of those look like ads.
No. Age of Ultron were straight up ads, and that was fucking more obnoxious than this. This could come to pass, could not come to pass. It doesn't really matter. We know that Monsters Unleashed is coming to pass. The weird thing with Spider-Man holding Cap with his dead stick in his chest is weird because this exact issue doesn't end like that, or maybe that's just there to show us that it could have happened. No. It's got Cap.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, and then there's a possible future. I love how he calls it possible futures or whatever he calls it, and then there's one of Thor fighting Loki. It's didn't fucking see that one coming, Ulysses. Thanks for the prediction of the future. And then he becomes a new cosmic entity, but that's not even defined.
That maybe was the weirdest part of this issue.
He's just he's crying. Meanwhile, I've read 1,000 Ultimates books in the past couple months about how eternity is chained up. Yeah. So it's what the fuck? So
how does any of this tie in to eternity and him being one of these celestial beings? Is that ever mentioned?
No, never. So I've been reading and I haven't come across it yet. So
it's maybe it's so out of nowhere.
Maybe it'll come across somewhere. But what the fuck just happened? And by the way, since when does becoming a human trigger your evolution to becoming a galactic being? What the fuck? That doesn't I don't understand that at all. All of a sudden, Captain Marvel's really sad. Of course. Brian Michael Bendis' Spider-Man is holding Tony, who is dying, but he's not dying. And then Beast and Captain Marvel have a 17-page talk about it. And then she talks to Clint Barton for an issue. And then she talks to Obama. Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, well, she talks. She talks to Hawkeye, and Hawkeye is I'm going to go form the Avengers, the Occupy Avengers, which meanwhile is probably already canceled. The book is already canceled by the time this issue comes out because I think the first trade.
Oh, is that what he's going to do here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I haven't read that one yet. But and then there's a double page of what have you seen? The president says to Captain Marvel, what have you seen? And Captain Marvel says well, I've seen a bit of everything, which is a fucking course you have. And then it shows 10 different things. By the way, this is supposed to represent the whole Marvel universe. At least No, I'm just going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll just say half of them. At least half of them are fucking books that Brian Michael Bendis is fucking writing. And then the other ones are like Inhumans because they're trying to push that. Daredevil, I don't know why the fuck they're trying to push that.
He's 100% writing that Defenders comic. There's no doubt. No doubt in my mind.
This Defenders one?
Yeah, no doubt in my mind.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. It's got Riri Williams because, of course, she's being pushed. It's got, fucking Guardians of the Galaxy on here fucking twice because they're selling so well still. Black Panther's got a movie coming out. Inhumans have got like a TV show coming out. Riri Williams, that just annoys me. Captain America, it's just fucking a bunch of shit. And then it ends on like the worst cliffhanger ending of a story ever about what she can do about the future. So
that's the best page though. That's this last one here.
So.
That says
yes, I like how she has a blank check, but has been specifically told she can't reform the Ultimates.
But I love it. At the end, it says the story continues in basically all these books that have already come out.
Oh yeah. So
except for the Hulk, which came out the same week as this.
So Ulysses, what?
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
How? Who? How?
I was really hoping that like those tendrils would. I don't know if I was hoping that he would like. Be a time travel. His powers would be time travel because he goes. The Old Man Logan scene in issue number 7 was fucking awesome. It was really cool. He goes,
and it felt like it had more of a purpose as he was talking to Old Man Logan to find out like, how can I stop this?
Exactly. That made sense, and that was like, oh, we're actually learning something about Ulysses. This is really cool. There was none of that in issue 8. Great question. Those like tendrils, the training with Karnak, as far as I understand, he was sort of gonna become a galactic being no matter what. So, what did this, issue do? And by the way, other than this issue with Spider-Man not killing Cap, was he wrong ever? I read in fact, I think possibly all of the tie-in issues, and I don't think Ulysses was wrong once until this issue.
Oh, I think that's the whole point of it. And there's that whole scene where it could still happen because it is still the scene of Spider-Man and Cap potentially in the future.
Oh, that's true too. Okay.
So it's like,
yeah. So okay, yeah. So that was annoying because like everybody's saying, well, what if he's what if he's right? What if he's right? What if he's right? It's like he's fucking always been right. Anyway,
But it's the point wasn't so much about is this individual prediction right? It was the second you start making all your decisions based on these predictions, what are the consequences of that?
Yes,
and that's assuming that he could never be wrong at that point.
Right, and I think the possibly only. I mean, there were some good points to this book, I guess, but the real good point that I really liked was at the end. When Beast was talking to her and he said, look, Iron Man didn't have a problem with you doing this stuff. You saved like an ass ton of lives. You did a great job. He says like he was worried about your predecessors and like if you set this precedent that this is just, line wide okay for this predictive judgment to go into effect, like how do you know it won't ever be abused?
Here's my problem with the series. What was the point of it? So Ulysses will probably never appear again in anything.
Probably.
Right? I mean, this character will probably just never show up again because...
I think we will have at least one more appearance from him.
One random Jim Starlin written miniseries in 4 years where he pops up.
I think a lot of times when a new character like this comes in, they already kind of have a plot for him to show up in the next arc of the Ultimates or something like that. And then they'll have time to course correct, basically going, nobody likes this character, we should just drop him. But there always seems to be that like one follow-up arc they have planned.
I guess.
That's already in the pipeline.
With Iron Man, with Iron Man, all the stuff with Doom and Riri Williams could have happened regardless of this book existing. They could just do it. He could have stepped aside in his own titles.
Well, he had stepped aside almost completely in his own titles when he had faked his death.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. I rarely agree with Brock, but I totally agree with you right now.
That was the perfect way for Riri to come in and become...
Yeah. She already was.
Or Doom.
No, she was both. She was coming in, like, she was being introduced at the same time as this whole thing was going on.
But she would have done it, I mean, in the first issue where you find out that Tony kind of programmed his own AI into her suit. That could have been done with him fully alive. He doesn't have to be dead for that to happen.
Exactly. And an infamous Iron Man.
Yeah, same thing.
By the way, how is that never like when Doom is trying to change the world for the better? Like, however many issues of Iron Man ago that started happening. Yeah. I think it was number one.
The ninth attempt to launch a Captain Marvel series. I mean, she's liked and hated by groups of random people. Maybe this isn't a change of this character. The She-Hulk book could have she could just do this without the Hulk being dead, which that'll last a year or two, if that.
Okay, well, let's temper when you say that. Lately, you've been fucking wildly wrong. How long was Professor X going to be dead? How long was Wolverine going to be dead? By the way, they're both still dead, so like...
Wolverine has been in more comics dead than like the last 5 years that he was alive.
It doesn't matter. You sit in your little throne and you judge all these Marvel characters for like, Marvel, they'll be back. They'll be back in a year. That Professor X, he'll be back in 3 months. Wolverine, he won't last 2 weeks dead. And yeah, he's fucking everywhere. But
I'm still waiting for Jean Grey to come back.
Me too. They did a very eloquent solution for getting Wolverine back into fucking comics.
Yeah. So
anyway, this book just did fucking nothing, and that was, I guess, what was most aggravating about it.
So where does Marvel go with these events? Can they just stop? But no, because they tease the next 7 events in here. Mm-hmm. So where do they? What?
I got angry is not the right word because I wasn't angry, but when it showed fucking Ultron standing over the Avengers, it's like,
again,
are you fucking kidding? How many times is some predictive future gonna predict Ultron standing over the Avengers? And by the way, of course, Captain Marvel's in the front now because
I love Ultron and I'd love to have him back. I didn't read that Rage of Ultron graphic novel because I'm like, why would you release this as a graphic novel? This should have been in an arc of Avengers. I've no
but also, so you probably don't remember, don't care, not reading it, whatever. But they just dealt with Ultron, in the Avengers story, and got rid of him again. Yeah, and it's like, but I feel like I've read a fucking ton of Ultron. Yeah, it's like, don't the Avengers have any other villains?
Well, now War of the Worlds stuff, the Killraven, they've teased that before and it's never happened. And I don't know why they keep teasing that future that nobody cares about except for
Killraven.
Yeah, except for Bendis and what's the artist's name?
I just want Killraven's outfit. Where can I get that? I'm gonna wear that for a podcast that we videotape.
Blanking on the artist's name, but it's always the same thing. It's like, I don't know, man, this book.
Well, the X-Men tease, I don't even know what the hell's going on. It's just them going up against a wall with Nova in front of them.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's just...
Oh, yeah. The X-Men one, it's because I was reading it on my phone, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought that I was going to swipe right or swipe left.
To a splash page.
And it was going to go to, the other page, which was them fighting the Inhumans, or, literally anybody.
Yeah.
But then it just went to the Captain America one, where, by the way, Captain America is glowering over the scene.
You like that picture?
And it's what the fuck? Why are you so angry at Spider-Man? You're dead, bro. Why are you even there?
The ghost of Captain America is hella pissed.
And then there's Medusa, who's fighting in War of the Worlds with this artist that I also am brain farting on the name.
Alan Davis.
What?
Alan Davis.
Alan Davis. Thank you.
And then the one
just terrible.
And then there's the preview with who's the Sentinel? The one that's on the X-Men right now.
Cerebra.
What is going on? I don't even know what's going on in that. It's got Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and
it's dark. You don't know that it's him, except that it's Brian Michael Bendis writing it.
And then who's in Cerebra's?
You can't even tell who's punching who's. You don't even know that's Cerebra, by the way. That could just be a Sentinel. But all the X-Men are dead because apparently these Wolverine claws are over here. Spider-Man, whichever one it is emoting like a motherfucker. He's like, oh, I'm so sad. And then we got some. I don't even know who that is. It looks like, I don't know, Wolfsbane meets a robot punching out their face. You've got this Ultron nonsense.
The unworthy Thor that we knew was going to come back.
God, I love
Rubik.
Yes, I saw Rubik's art. It's fucking just incredible.
Well, let's move on from Civil War because there's still a lot of other stuff to talk about.
God, it was just such a non-event.
Yeah.
I defy you, when you said that the fart cloud wouldn't do anything, I think that was, you were just both really wrong.
Well, we have a question about that later, so we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
And then what else? Civil Secret Wars was, I think, more impactful than you probably thought it was because you probably didn't think it was impactful at all. Like,
No,
I think
Secret Wars did a lot of stuff.
I think that like you two especially have a predilection to just downplay the impact on the Marvel Universe it'll have because you like to troll. But
I like Secret Wars.
but this is just like even I'm like, I felt the way I felt at the end of Fear Itself, which was like, especially those epilogue chapters of Fear
I was
Itself,
going to say
where
the aftermath issue,
retcon.
not that
7.1,
just
7.3,
undid it all.
7.3.
Just was,
exactly. The last issue is actually like not half bad. You're like, oh damn, they're just leaving all this shit. And then they have the epilogue issues where they literally undo everything. And you're like, well,
while I feel like there may be some of Hickman's Marvel run that maybe went a little outside the characters for me or weren't what I would have necessarily wanted. I mean, you look at his run of FF, Avengers, Infinity, and then Secret Wars. I mean, that is a massive undertaking and mostly really good.
yeah, dude. When that omnibus comes out of the Hickman, like, and they what?
They have like the series are all not like a
No, I want it all where
chronological.
it's like lined up.
Yeah.
Like when I do my binding.
Yeah. Well, you can do it. You do FF, and then you do
Well, the FF
Avengers.
already came out, right?
No,
Yeah,
FF is
yeah.
probably already out. I
And then
meant
Infinity-
specifically Avengers.
and then Secret
It's
Wars.
already
yeah.
out of print too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Avengers is coming back into print.
Wow.
Wait, but they just did the block of Avengers, right? They didn't dice them in between, right? Because the stories happen in between each other.
Yeah, you gotta kind of weave.
So you gotta
weave
bind
them.
it.
Yeah.
well, they have like this arc, then they have like a combined hardcover of where they start to intersect.
Of all the Infinity stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they did a pretty good job of, because I mean, you don't have to read all the issues until you reach certain things like the Infinity event.
That's true.
And
That's
then,
true. Okay.
And then they have a hardcover of
Okay.
just that
I'll just look
stuff
at what omnibus they're at there. Anyway, yeah, Hickman did a fucking great job. You know who can't close out a story is Brian Michael Bendis. He creates great stories. He created this awesome setup with the X-Men and the time travel. Fucking shot the bed with that issue
Nothing
600.
happened.
He fucking created this awesome story with Age of Ultron. Fucking shot the bed with the end of that one. He fucking created this great, compelling second Civil War when it was like, oh, really? Just a second Civil War? How are you going to make this relevant? And then he fucking totally made it relevant and then just shot the bed on the ending.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure that there's a ton of other ones that I can't even think of right now because I'm just so in love with Marvel, which is doing great things. If you guys aren't reading the Thanos book, you should go read the Thanos book. Thanos #1 was incredible. You know what also was better than I thought it would be was Mosaic #1. I actually liked Mosaic #1, and I would
Well,
like
you
to
can find 2 and 3 in our quarter bin and no other issues. We're gonna
Really?
talk. Yeah.
Did you not like #1, or did #2 just get worse? You didn't like #1?
I think he's just talking about sales wise.
I sold 1 copy, so I threw the rest. I threw them in a quarter bin and stopped ordering them.
But did you actually read it and form an opinion of your own?
I read a few pages.
Did you like hear
and
the review from Brock?
I read a few pages.
I read
and
#1. It was okay.
I could not finish #1.
Yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it.
I read issue 2 and was like, eh.
Would you buy issue 2?
I would probably buy it off the wall. I wouldn't add it to my sub list. I added. What did I add today?
You can buy it from the
Oh,
quarter bin.
Unworthy Iron.
Or the
No,
dollar bin.
what's his name? The Bad Iron Man.
Yeah, Infamous
Infamous.
Iron Man.
Infamous
Yeah.
Iron Man. I added that to my post. I really like #1. I like #1 of Mosaic, but I really like #1 of Thor and Infamous Iron Man.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have some sales chart stuff.
yeah.
End of the year stuff from the publishers and Diamond and everything later, probably in a couple weeks. But we have our sales chart stuff for 2016.
Dun, dun,
I ran a
dun.
bunch of the numbers and got some stuff here. I won't have our store's kind of final numbers, which I probably won't talk about publicly either. But I can say at least gross, which is a good way to look at stuff. We're actually up about 10% over last year, which was pretty amazing considering certain publishers did not perform to expectation this past year.
Damn you, Boom Studios.
And that's dollar amount too. So DC's books were cheaper, but we definitely sold a lot of them. It's tough for us to track our single issue sales because of variants. We do some Trader Love stores. So, but what I was able to kind of come up with when I looked at it is clearly our Harley Quinn variant #1 was the book we sold the most of this year, followed very closely by DC Rebirth, the DC Rebirth universe one shot. But like every other book on that list was Batman. Like Batman just dominated over ridiculous. I mean, it does every year, but it really dominated this past year. Batman is just heads tails above everything.
Yeah, I mean, he's on Bryce's poll list.
A couple of the number ones, a couple of the Rebirth number ones from that first month sold kind of pretty equivalent, but there's a bit of a drop off. Batman stayed real high. So, yeah, DC was about 48% of our unit sales for single-issue comic books. Marvel was 38%. So, yeah, you're talking 86% of our single issues sold are Marvel and DC. And that is about 60% of what we sell in the store are single-issue comics, new comics. So, it represents about 60% of our sales.
You know, I'm really curious if you looked at just the last 6 months, what those percents would be.
Probably a little... Well, the last 6 months includes Rebirth, so it'd probably be pretty similar.
Well, okay. How about the last 3 months?
Yeah. It might be a little more even, but Rebirth, DC is still way, way ahead. Or actually, maybe. Well, but Civil War sold pretty well the first few issues.
I guess the thing that I was really saying is I would assume DC was pretty much in the shitter for the first 5 months.
Oh, yeah.
6 months. So
well, this is about
for DC to have made that much ground in the last 6 months.
We were about, if my memory serves me correct, it was about 45% Marvel, 40% DC in 2015, which is the first year ever that we sold more Marvel than DC.
Yeah.
And so
that was the Star Wars bump.
So DC, again, roughly with the percent here, Marvel dropped about 6%, DC went up about 12 to 12% or 8% or something like that. So, yeah. But with the graphic novels, I do have I can actually easily track that. So, there's a lot of trades. We only sell 1, 2, maybe 3 copies a year. But these are our top 10. Number 10 is Star Wars Volume 2, shown on Smuggler's Moon. Number 9 is Star Wars Darth Vader Volume 2, Shadows and Secrets. So those are, and number 8 is Star Wars Darth Vader Volume 1. So those are our a lot of Star Wars stuff in our top trade paperback sales. Number 7 was Paper Girls Volume 1. Number 6, this was actually a surprise for me, the DC Superhero Girls trade Volume 1 called Finals Crisis. That was the kind of female-oriented kid.
Well, it's the DC's feminine or girl.
Yeah, DC's superhero girls.
Yeah,
graphic novel. We sold a lot of those.
Doing the free comic book day, the amount of people who came in after that free comic book day looking for more of that stuff and kind of impressed me.
Yeah. We gave away a lot of that book and sold a lot of the actual.
Wasn't that going to have a big push with Target and stuff like that? Clothing line and
they do. They have it. Yeah, that's I always see it when
Isn't
it's
there already a cartoon too, or on the way?
It's a web series. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a couple shorts. Number 5 was.
They did it direct to video too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Is that a combination of the shorts, or is that?
I don't know. I didn't buy it. I just remember seeing all the advertisements for it when they announced the direct to video.
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise that was that high on our list. But yeah, we sold a lot. Number 5 was Batman: The Killing Joke hardcover.
Is it really though? With all the little girls watching all these Marvel movies at this point.
Is there a lot of little girls watching Marvel movies?
I think so.
We don't too often have kids' books on our top list. The Avatar books did for a while when they were first coming out and hit our top lists, but it's pretty rare that we don't often have kids' books on
kids' books.
All ages titles on our top lists. Number 5 is Batman Killing Joke hardcover. That thing is a beast. That's the new Watchmen. Killing Joke was the new Watchmen. It sells like crazy. Number 4 is Saga Volume 1. Number 3 is Saga Volume 6, so the first volume and the last volume. Number 2, so this is where it starts to get interesting, I think. Our number 2 graphic novel, or trade paperback, whatever, for 2016 was The Dark Knight, A True Batman Story by Paul Dini and Edward Rizzo. That was the Vertigo Batman comic that came out about mid-year.
That wasn't a Batman comic.
Well, but you know what I mean. It was a story about Paul Dini and sort of his real life experiences and how Batman sort of got him through some of this stuff. And number 1, not even close, no question asked. It was about a third higher than the number 2 book, was Wonder Woman Earth 1 by Grant Morrison and Yannick Paquette. We sold a whole hell of a lot of those. Those DC books do well here, and obviously we skewer a little heavy on Morrison, so some really, really good stuff there. If you want our little breakdown per category, 57.33% of our comics sold. 57.33% of what we sell is single-issue comic books. New graphic novels is 14, and this is dollar amount as well. New graphic novels is 14.8%, used is 2.72%. So we don't sell as many graphic novels as a lot of stores, considering how expensive they are, right? So their graphic novels are 15, 16% of what we sell. It's obviously a good category, but we don't sell that many trades compared to some stores. Toys just short of 8%. Back issues a little over 8%. So there's a lot of profit in back issues, but we sell them pretty cheap. Toys and statues, there's not a lot of profit in, but they sell for a lot of money. And supplies, 4% of what we sell is supplies. Everyone needs bags and boards and boxes. So.
Well, the last category we figured out was games, and that was, 5%?
Well, there's a little stuff here. Yeah, I actually didn't miss our Heracles games, which I think was about 3 or 4%. So. Okay. That's Charlie's giving me a look.
I'm wondering, isn't Walking Dead normally in your top trades?
Walking Dead trade sales have really fallen off.
Well, I know. I'm just wondering if this is the first year you haven't had a Walking Dead trade in there. And
Probably. Yeah. Our Walking Dead trade sales, I mean, they still sell well, but not like they used to.
Yeah.
Number 1 is probably higher than any recent volume this past year. Probably still sell more volume 1.
I think a lot of the compendiums, with the compendiums and stuff like that.
I don't sell that many of them. Well, you think you're now 26 volumes in, and this is an ongoing thing we're going to have here at the store, and an ongoing problem the industry is going to have where, I'll stock good selling stuff. I'll stock volume 1s, but I'm unlikely to reorder a lot of those Walking Deads in the middle because who's buying volume 12 out of nowhere? It's just we're just not selling them. So volume 1, volume 2, the most recent stuff, but we're just not selling a lot of those middle volumes anymore.
Yeah, the middle ones,
and that goes for every book. That's like Invincible and The Boys and a lot of these Fables and a lot of these long-selling long-running volumes. There's just not a lot of sales in the middle and end there. It's all front-loaded and new, and when they come out new. So that's some sales chart stuff here for the store. I'm sure we'll have industry stuff later. Let's get to some questions. We got a fucking shitload of questions here.
Ooh, Bryce woke up.
All right, this is from Joshua. He asks, any big changes for this year?
Joshua
R? No.
Okay.
Any big changes for this year? Predictions of new titles. I think Geoff Johns is going to be writing a DC vs. Watchmen comic book. That's my big prediction for this year.
My big prediction is Marvel will have delayed books and will relaunch their entire line.
They really cannot. They can't. They cannot do it again in September. They just can't.
Hey, calm down.
Maybe
they won't. Just.
I mean, I'm okay if they
occasionally
churn some titles and launch some new stuff, but if they have like a now 3.0 or whatever, I will I don't know what to do. It is so bad, the sales for Marvel books recently. I cannot believe they would try to go through this again, but who knows. All right, Samurai Godzilla asks, what comic book movies for 2017 are you most looking forward to? We talked about this on our year-end review a little bit here, but Toby's giving me an eyeball.
Huh?
Toby's giving me an eyeball.
No one's trying to think.
Wonder Woman, Justice League. Guardians, for sure.
Guardians Volume 2,
Yeah, we're looking for Guardians.
Wait, what's the list of movies that are coming out?
What's this year? Logan
is,
Ant-Man? Spider-Man? Is Ant-Man this year?
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Thor.
Yeah, or Ragnarok's this year. Yeah,
Ragnarok.
Yep. That's the other big one.
Justice League.
Wonder Woman. Toby.
And there's one more.
Are we getting
Wonder
Ant-Man
Woman
this year?
Huh?
Are we getting Ant-Man this year?
I don't remember.
No, that's not.
No, I think that's next year. Yeah, Thor was the one I was thinking, not Ant-Man.
Yeah.
How about All?
Apparently we're not getting that one.
I'm looking forward to All. Wait, did you say Wonder Woman?
From Marvel?
Wait, no. I mean, the question is DC going to not shit the bed with Wonder Woman?
Hopefully.
I mean, they shot the bed with everyone so far, so it'll be interesting to see if
shot
they...
the bed with $800 million.
I have to say, I thought it was Wonder Woman until saw the newest Guardians trailer, and I'm really excited about Baby Groot, which you are not.
$900 million, shit in the bed there. Real bad sales.
How's that sequel coming? Did they not greenlight that because it was not well received?
Pretty amazing. Super Mario Run sells 3 million copies in 3 weeks. It's a flop. It's a failure. I hate this world. I hate this.
What's happening right now?
Super Mario Run what?
Super Mario Run sold 3 million copies in 3 weeks, and
Ryan?
it's considered a failure. I hate nerd math. I hate it.
What the fuck are you even
Suicide Squad makes $800 million and is considered a failure.
When have we ever talked about Super Mario Run?
No, this is the other side of my video game nerd rage.
I guess so.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I'm on level 15 in Super Mario Run.
Nice. Android version coming soon.
No. I hope it never comes out because of you.
All right, this is Final Fury on Twitter. He asks, "What's the worst Rebirth titles out so far? I'm buying most of them, but what would you suggest to cut?" I can tell you which ones I'm not buying.
That's going to be a big fucking mystery.
So I would think that these are the worst titles. That would be Blue Beetle, New Superman, and Cyborg. Those are the 3 titles that I feel are not that great. I am kind of over Palmiotti and Connor's Harley. We've talked about this. I keep going, but I kind of want a normal Harley. And Blue Beetle. Sorry, I dropped Blue Beetle as well. I said Blue Beetle? Okay.
Deathstroke for me is I just can't get into it.
I like Deathstroke, but I understand it's Christopher Priest is not for everyone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of titles right now in Rebirth that I love, and then there's a sort of category where I like them, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm kind of burned out on a Constantine comic right now. I'm kind of burned out on Cyborg. Like
with Batgirl,
I'm kind of hoping eventually I will come back around and be like, okay, I'll give this a try again and see if I'm more in the mindset for it. But
with Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, I love the characters, but if both of those books ended, I wouldn't complain. It's just not...
Yeah.
They're okay. They're just not what I want these titles to be.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel Supergirl is falling off a little bit.
Supergirl, I like it. I still like Supergirl, but again, it might not be the title that I want.
Last week's Supergirl.
The issue?
Being Human?
I haven't read that one. Oh, the special?
Yeah.
Like they're doing like a prestige format. Yeah, I haven't read it.
That looked cool.
Yeah, that looked cool. Yeah, I didn't get to it yet. Let's see. It's about Civil War 2. We already talked about that. I did get a few questions about this. Going from Scott here, going from Krusty Lemon, basically kind of saying, like, what can Marvel do in 2017? Now, look, Marvel's selling very well.
Yeah,
I'm not going to...
Marvel's not been as bad as Ryan makes you think it has been doing.
They have their
Brock.
tricks to get extra sales, and but you look at the sales chart for anything past issue 1, and these drops, Champions number 2 sold 10% of what Champions number 1 did because of all these extra stuff they threw on top of it. Stuff like Mosaic Solo. What's the other one? I took them off the shelf. I don't even know anymore.
Killer.
Prowler, Fool Killer. These books are all canceled. Like, they're done. Marvel needs to focus on their core titles. There's no other way. They need to ditch the Inhumans. You can have an Inhumans comic or 2, but they need to get back to their core titles.
Just one Inhumans comic.
Sure. I mean, you can have Miss Marvel. You can have Inhumans, but get back to your core titles. Bring back your regular characters. Go get some stability in your creative teams. Axe every book that's selling 15,000 copies and less, or 20,000 copies and less, which is most of them at this point. Make Marvel great again, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
wow.
Yeah, it's real sad, but I don't know what else to say.
Well, the thing is give us Avengers.
Give us Fantastic Four. Give us X-Men.
Yeah,
give us Hulk. Give us Daredevil. Give some.
Make She-Hulk. Make the Hulk book actually She-Hulk, not Hulk.
Oh, like you can have again, we've talked about this at length so many times. I don't care if there's Squirrel Girl and Spider-Woman and Star-Lord and, Old Man Logan and All New Wolverine. Like, these books are all cool in their own rights, but you need that core, and it's crazy.
Look at Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man numbers are down.
Yeah,
and the thing is I think what's hurt that book so much is how many times was it renumbered in the past 3 years?
It's every year basically. Yeah.
So. Well, okay. What's the joke? Deadpool and Spider-Man 2099 are the longest running.
At this point, yeah, I think so. Right? I think Spidey 2099 is like the highest numbered Marvel comic, and
Spidey and Spidey 2099 and Deadpool,
and the main Deadpool title. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about Marvel at length. I mean, they're not going to do it. They're going to do whatever the hell they do. So, I mean, I got nothing. But yeah, I got nothing. This is for you. This is for you, Bryce.
Yeah.
This is from Craig. Well, no, you can talk about Marvel, but I got another Marvel. What can Marvel do?
They have not been crushing it this past year, although I don't think that they've been quite as bad as you and Brock love to make it sound. So I do have a question for you. Like, it seems like every time I listen to the podcast I'm not on, you guys are lamenting the fact that, like, all Marvel books are shit. And
not true.
And well, I agree it's not true, but that everything is like, oh, it's selling, Champions #2 is selling 10% of what #1 was selling. It's like, but, your store is up 10% year over year. Marvel is still dominating, winning relatively handily, in the industry over DC. So I'm wondering, like, at what point, because you never talk about, like, how they're actually doing good. You talk about how they're using cheap tricks to win, but they're winning, and you're having year over year 10% growth, which as a fucking salesman I would love to have. That actually wouldn't be enough for my quota, but
here's a couple things that happens with Marvel. Part of it is sales trickery. Part of it is the variant covers, the overshipping, the loot crate, and all this stuff. Right? That is absolutely part of it. But here's the honest truth of why Marvel still sells well despite maybe the internet and myself and certain retailers not understanding who's buying these comics. There are a not small... I really hate to get political here, but there are a lot of stores not on the coast that are basically Marvel comic stores. I've seen these. I've heard of these. People have told me about them. People have been... I've gone into a comic book store. They carry Marvel and almost nothing else. And that is just the straight-up truth, that there are huge segments of the comic book buying population.
So the opposite of this store?
Yeah, sure. No, I have a ton of Marvel stuff here. But that are seriously... Now, this was... this used to be worse in the 80s and 90s and into the 2000s. It is a less common feature these days. A lot of these stores are just not around anymore, and smaller town stores and kind of more... But it still happens. I've still heard stories about this in the last year, right?
Do you think just because the customers just want to buy Marvel, or the owner is just a Marvel man?
Well, I mean, I don't know, right? I would assume it's you get what your customers want, and they want Marvel, so they stock Marvel. I would hope they're not ridiculously biased in some fashion. I may be biased against Marvel in kind of my own personal opinion, but I do not let that affect what I carry in the store one bit. So I mean, as little as possible. Mm-hmm. If a book I sell a lot of copies of books that I really don't like, and I sell very few copies of books I really love. So my personal opinion on the merchandise is minimal at most when it comes to what I actually order.
So a lot of it sounds like less educated than your customer comic book fan base are booing Marvel.
I didn't say that, and I don't know why you'd make that assumption.
Well, because you said away from the coast with a certain air of. Anyway,
wink.
I think he's found our official bad radio tonight.
Yeah.
No. But I'm dead serious. There are stores like this, and I have been told, again, this was not like something that I was told yesterday, but in years past. The reps at Diamond that I have told me that the Bay Area tends to run traditionally very heavy on DC titles. And that's not necessarily a smarter anything. It's just
so you're living in the wrong area is basically what we're telling you, Bryce.
Yeah, you're in DC town, Bryce.
Yeah,
but no. If you go down the street,
what I'm actually fucking
if you go down the comic collector shop down the street, they are a Marvel store, up, down, left, and right. They are like 90% Marvel down the street.
Right, I'm fucking like at a podcast in Sunnyvale where there's more fucking like money flying around for disposable income than there is anywhere. You know, everybody across the country would be fucking ashamed of how much money that we spend on comics, especially me. Like I have to I would hide if anybody asked me, especially my wife. Like if she asked me how much money I fucking
you have to hide from her.
Well, that's true. How much money I spend on fucking comic books per year? People would be like, "What the fuck? That's like more than your Starbucks budget." So you spend that much on Starbucks? What the fuck?
Do you want me to come out your house with a boombox over my head playing this episode?
How much beer do you buy? How much money are you spending on beer? What the fuck? Like this is like I am the worst perpetrator of it. Anyway.
Well, I think that also works in reverse with beer because when you find out that they spend like $1.50 on a bottle of beer versus what we have to pay out here, you kind of get sick.
Yes, that is also quite sickening. I agree with that. Yep.
Bryce.
Yes.
This is from Craig.
Don't even talk to me, Craig.
He asks, which is better, Civil War 2 or Secret Wars 2?
Craig, that's just a ludicrous statement.
I know the answer. Even I know the answer to this question.
Wait, what did he say? Secret Wars 2 or Civil War 2? Correct?
Oh! Is he actually talking about Secret Wars 2? Like Secret Wars 2?
Yes.
I thought he meant like the Hickman Secret Wars.
No.
No. That's not that.
Oh,
that's even less of a question. His question is actually plausible.
Okay.
Good.
Wow.
Thank you for that question.
Secret Wars 2 is old. It's not that great. Secret Wars is not that great. If you want to be honest, yeah, read that original Secret Wars series. It's not that great. It's okay. I read it. I've read it multiple times.
Jazz hands?
Yeah, Secret Wars.
Secret
Wars is cool. There are cool scenes in it, but it's not great. Secret Wars 2 is pretty not great. Civil War 2 is pretty bad, but bad in a modern sense. So it could kind of like it can be a bad modern comic is still a lot better.
I've ever heard in my life.
A bad modern comic is still better than a lot of older comics. It's just produced at such a higher level. It is difficult to be.
It's got better paper quality.
Bad.
Yeah, if I had to get down to it, Civil War 2 is better just because the paper and the art and the cover stock.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Secret Wars 2. Well, Secret Wars 2 gave us Boom Boom, so that's a plus.
Nobody here,
Bryce, Boom Boom,
broke a sweat.
No,
Bryce and Toby, no response. I say Boom Boom, no response.
I love Boom Boom. Look, Civil Wars 2 was like far and away better than Civil War 1. Civil War 2, yeah, giving us Boom Boom, but like
Civil War 2 and Secret Wars 2.
So Civil War 2 just fucking literally did nothing. Like Civil War, god damn it. Secret Wars 2 actually had the notoriety of being like the first, at least in Marvel, I don't even know about DC, like bloated industry event.
Kind of pointless crossover.
Just absolutely no point to it that there could have been. Wait, hold on. Just give me
Beyonder and his Jerry curl afro and Boom Boom and her like cool like 80s sunglasses. Like, that was cool.
Well, I guess
I think people like Secret Wars 2 now almost in like a retro way or something.
That could be that very possibly.
Didn't they solicit like a hardcover slipcase or something for it not too long ago?
Yeah.
Do you own it, Charlie?
Well, Bryce is busy. We're going to move on.
No,
here.
I'm not busy. Look, Secret Wars 2 was awesome. It had fucking a bunch of great shit. Yes, Jerry curl beyond our aside. The point is that it didn't have the excuse of not knowing what the fuck it was doing. Civil War 2, god damn it. Civil War 2. Brock, can you say something good about Civil War 2 as if your life depended on it?
Hey, give your Hearthstone game to Brock so he can lose and get you down the rank 15.
Wait, hold on. I might have won.
So Casey,
I won. So, if you can believe it.
Did you anything?
So Casey,
okay, look.
Casey,
I just won my game. I can actually talk now. Okay, look. Secret War 2. Like, I don't think that there was an event to date that was that widespread. Correct or incorrect?
Well, look at Secret Wars. The recent one. That was literally every Marvel comic.
No. But yeah. But at that time.
Oh, at the time, sure. I mean, well, Crisis had a lot of tie-ins.
Yeah.
More? I don't know if it was more, but it was a lot.
Well, I guess that's my question. Is I didn't follow.
I don't think there was as many for Secret Wars 2.
There was some fucking crazy. And so this is all said without any understanding of the Crisis tie-in level. But, like, at that point in my comic reading career, I was like, what the fuck? ROM? I'm, like, reading ROM? I'm not going to go buy ROM. But, okay, I'll go buy ROM. So I have to go...
Infinity Gauntlet had a lot, too.
Yeah, it did.
No, but that was way later, right?
A couple years, yeah.
I was much more mature by then, Higgins. So anyway, like that almost gets a pass because they were kind of like experimenting with their fucking audience and with the world. Like, what are these people actually going to buy? Is this fucking kid going to buy ROM? Sucker. And there was a bunch of that. So that makes it gives it carte blanche in terms of forgiveness for event overload. This doesn't. This had a fucking, like, if I had to tell you how much money I spent, it was more than Starbucks and beer combined on these fucking, like, tie-ins. Higgins is just twiddling his fingers and all happy about it. But, like, it just absolutely nothing happened. And whether or not anything happened in Secret Wars 2, it was sort of like the first of its kind of a bloated event. And so I give it a pass on being the first.
Wait,
like,
Secret
Marvel's done, like, and so
first?
is DC, has done, like, a ton of these bloated events since then. So, which is better? Secret Wars 2, hands down. Like, it's not even a question. I mean, Jericho Beyonder alone answers that question, but, you know. Boom Boom, I actually did not, bad Boom Boom fan, Love X-Force, did not remember that she came in
I'm pretty sure that's her.
Doing that run.
That's her first appearance, right?
Once you said it, I do remember that from my X-Men trading cards from the 90s, which are incredible. But, yeah, they were. Fuck you, Jim Lee. Just come back to Marvel. You could have made this industry 90-10, or like 90 to 5, or something like that, and then Boom Studios and Image can get the other 5%.
So our good friend Casey,
sorry, Valiant.
Our good friend Casey, Uber Troll, asks, "Would you rather have good movies and bad comics, Marvel, or bad movies and popular comics, DC?" I mean, there's just so much wrong with this question, but to answer his question, I'd rather have good comics and bad movies. I mean, at the end of the day, the movies, it's cool that they're cool.
No, I remember when the comic book movies were bad. Not a good time.
Yeah, but we didn't. No, but we didn't give a fuck because the comics were awesome.
Yeah.
No, I actually agree with Higgins. Like I've said before, I've not seen the latest Spider-Man. I've not seen the latest Fantastic Four. There are tons of Marvel movies that I will just not watch because fucking my addiction to Rotten Tomatoes wins over, and I'm just like, fuck that. I'm just not going to see it. If Higgins comes to me and is like, well, I have a team going with like 30 people to my DC movie. Will you come with me, please, Bryce?
Will you sit next to me and hold my hand?
Which may or may not have been that way, but it's fun to think about it happening like that. Anyway, I just fucking won't go if it's a bad movie, but I'm still pulling my books every week my whole life, and I like want good books to read. And
it's awesome to have good comic movies and TV shows and video games and everything, but I care about the comic books more at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But now you don't have to convince all the normals these days. The normals understand.
Normals can go screw themselves. I don't care about them,
dude. So I'm drunk in an Uber with my boss and my boss's boss. Okay. And, by the way, I was paying for the fucking Uber. Of course you do. Hashtag expense report. Anyway, so, we're driving from one bar to the next, and my boss is with his wife. So it's my boss's wife, and my boss's boss. And I'm just like twiddling my thumbs in the front seat, trying not to fucking like get fired. And they're like, you know what was a great movie? Was that Deadpool movie. Have you guys, and this is my boss talking to his wife, was this Deadpool movie. Have you guys seen this Deadpool movie? And the wife was like, Bob or whatever my boss's name
Bryce just
might
cracks
be.
His thumbs and he's like cracks his fingers and he's like, Deadpool, huh?
Yeah. So, and they were fucking loving this movie. They were like telling jokes and like what the story was about, and they were like laughing their ass off, and I was like, nerds. Yeah. And then they start talking about Guardians and how great Guardians was. And
did you actually them when they got something wrong?
I pushed up my glasses and
you're like, actually.
No, I didn't. I just smiled because I was like, this is exactly exactly like you guys are saying. Like this is. I mean, to Toby's point, like the quote unquote normals are now like it's now cool, which is kind of cool for me to see. Like without telling them about this whole like
they'll still never step in a comic book store, but that's fine. I don't care.
No, right, but I don't mind and don't care. Like
there's still this aversion to pictures with word balloons.
It's no. I don't even think there is. I think that like I don't even know if they knew that it was from a comic book. Like so that doesn't even matter. I just like the fact that like these other people in my life are talking about comic book movies and they're like well received and enjoying them with their families, and I'm like what the fuck? Like I talk about this well whenever I can get out of the house to come here. But so anyway, it's been I don't know, it's been very cool to see like the quote unquote normals to get out there and actually be able to enjoy like a Deadpool movie. Like that would never happen when I was young. Like for that to happen, that these like older folks are going to Deadpool and enjoying it, like whether or not it's a comic book movie, because to them it's just like a fucking action movie. Like they don't even know. Anyway, so but I mean, to Higgins' point, I still would rather have good comics because I am reading the comics and they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah. Now on the flip side, though, is there at any point you go like this should come back to us? Too many normals are watching all of this stuff and misunderstanding it.
That's too hipster for me. I do. You know what I do want to say? Come back to us is fucking Fox to give up X-Men and Fantastic Four, and for Sony to give up Spider-Man, which like we'll see how that relationship develops. But
to me, what it's sort of been coming down to, especially recently, is we've seen a lot of these announcements for like Civil War, and then the movie came out. And now you have the Infinity stuff coming out with the next two Avengers movies. And this all works really, really well when the comics are kind of supporting the genesis behind a lot of these ideas. And it gets me excited to go see the movies, especially when they do it well. And what kind of bothers me of like the last 5 years worth of comics is there aren't very many of these stories that I'm like sitting there going like, no, that would make a good movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well,
Age Apocalypse.
I feel like when they
well, that's not the last.
I'm
just saying that the real modern comics, like the ones that they're publishing now, like the Captain America Hydra mind stuff, and like
look at. The Marvel stuff is coming. The Marvel movies are coming out of a modern golden age of Marvel stories with the Brubaker Punisher, Civil War.
Yeah, I was actually trying to explain that to the normals that a lot of these stories that these movies are based on are fairly recent.
Yeah, exactly.
They're fairly recent stories.
Yeah, the modern Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Fairly modern Guardians.
Batman v Superman. You can argue that's heavily influenced by like the Hush arc. By that one issue I know was, I mean, obviously Dark Knight, but
Dark Knight, Death of Superman,
and
that one issue of Hush.
Yeah. So a lot of it, and again, even those are fairly recent comics, but I feel like people forget comic books have always been popular outside of comic books. You have the serials and the radio dramas in the 40s and 50s that were vastly popular. You had the Superman the Motion Picture, one of the most successful movies of all time. And Batman, the 89 Batman movie, again, one of the most successful movies of all time. These things, and the Batman show. I love the Dick Tracy movie. The Wonder Woman TV show, you all the cartoons. So this stuff has always been there. It's just the effects have now caught up to the content as far as TV shows and movies. So you can actually have a Flash TV show and not have, I love the 90s show.
The 90s show is awesome.
But it is what it is.
The 90s show basically
I'm trying not to remember.
Very
right.
It used to take a lot of money to basically do a lot of the effects they can do now.
Yeah, now Toby can do the same effects on his laptop while we were recording the podcast.
You could buy elements that other people pre-make for you.
Yeah, exactly.
For like $20.
Yeah.
Just overlay it and it's done.
Yeah, kids on YouTube are have better
fancier
special
shit
effects
that people like 50 years did. Yeah,
than any movie released in the 90s or earlier.
There's that
really
kid
hits
on
your
YouTube
ego.
that like blows up shit and like jumps over lava all the time.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah. You guys gonna see that? The one with the dad like records his kid and like.
Well, that dad is a professional though.
Yeah. No, I've not.
You haven't seen these? Oh, they're great. They're great.
Yeah, that is a real professional, though.
But, I mean, the only point I was trying to make is most of the time what's always got to me very excited for the TV shows or the movies or that kind of stuff is when they pull on certain source material. Now, mind you, sometimes they nail it and I'm super happy, and sometimes you get stuff like X-Men 3 and I'm like, how could you fuck up the Phoenix Saga?
This is where the 90s X-Men show was so cool, though.
Yeah.
No, so Toby's right about that.
Yeah.
But what are you talking about? Like, there's no way they should have attempted to make that into one movie.
No, I agree, but I remember the feeling at the end of X-Men 2 going, holy crap, they're doing the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then we got Last Stand, I'm like, holy shit, they
fuck the
let
Phoenix.
me up, basically.
Like, they possibly could have done it in one movie and done like a sort of a chop shop job, and it could have been passable. But then they tried to throw in like a half dozen other storylines, and it was like, what the fuck?
Can we talk about
But
a little bit
at
what you
any
guys
event,
talked about earlier?
The only point I'm trying to make is when the comics are bad like this, I'm not saying there's really no story they've done recently that I would get excited if they announced they were doing a Marvel movie based on X. The closest you get is sort of like the Deadpool stuff, because they basically took the Deadpool character and then wrote their own story, and that worked really well.
No, I got the first hold on because I interrupted him first.
That's true. He's right.
Well, I'm just going with something he said, not something else.
All right, go on, bro.
Oh, that's rude. That's
true.
No.
I would watch an HBO miniseries of The Vision.
Wow. Okay, Toby?
What's that have to do with anything?
Great question.
Well, no, he said he wouldn't want to watch
anything new.
anything new. And
Can we talk about what you guys brought up earlier? I think you talked about it. That in the new DC shows or any comic book shows, you got a slow build up. That you have normal episodes and so on.
Yeah, I was talking about that earlier.
While
not on the podcast.
Yeah,
prior to the podcast.
Yeah. But I think it's a good topic, though. That some of these comic books are building big events after big events, and maybe it's event fatigue. So to speak, because I kind of miss my normal. I always loved the normal fucking guy. I love my favorite X-Men stuff from the 90s when they fucking played basketball and baseball. That doesn't happen anymore, really.
Yeah, that was great.
To me, it wasn't so much the fact that it bothered me about, yes, there is the event fatigue, but I just, in general, the narrative that you get with comic books nowadays basically means... It used to be that you would have your Mr. Sinister story. Let's just pick Mr. Sinister right now.
Yeah.
And you
love him.
And you would have your Mr. Sinister story, and then you would get these 20 other stories or whatnot before you'd ever see Mr. Sinister again, and that's being generous.
Sorry, Charlie, I'm going to interrupt you really 1 second. It is windy as hell out there. Yep. Jesus. Sorry, go ahead, Charlie. Continue.
Did
Mr.
you guys
Sinister.
see the last Liverpool game? It was windy as fuck on the field. It was crazy.
The ball
was flying everywhere. Liverpool ended up tying this terrible team.
Sorry, continue. Mr. Sinister.
We'll just keep interrupting you,
Mr.
Charlie.
Sinister, by the way, to your point, is incredible.
This was something that I actually noticed because of the Scott Snyder Batman books.
Oh, don't you dare.
I got very, very annoyed to a degree looking at the trades going like, trade, Joker story. Trade, Joker story.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like that's Avengers with Ultron. It's fucking annoying.
And that's the thing. It's like, how long do they want to shelve Ultron? Say, well,
how many
if you shelve Ultron for 2 years, which sounds like a fairly long time, but that's only like 3 stories or 4 stories between Avengers Ultron stories.
Yeah.
And
I don't have a lot of complaints about Batman, but that is definitely one, which is like, he has the second biggest rogues gallery. Much love, Spider-Man. In all of comics, and they go back to the Joker every time, especially when fucking Morrison's writing it. And it's like, if any story could shelve Joker for like, good stories and good villains, shelve him for a little bit, it would be him.
But the question becomes, how long is it okay to shelve the Joker? And that's where the narrative bothers me. Back in, I don't necessarily believe that the Joker was shelved a lot longer in older comics. It's just when you had 1-issue stories, you could get through 20 stories between Joker stories.
Yeah.
And Joker would come back for an issue or two, and then he'd be shelved again for a number of years.
So there is a, we were talking about this briefly. I don't know if you heard this conversation, Charlie. Before we started recording the podcast, I was talking with a customer of ours. DC has acted. There was some talk about this online in the last few days, and looking at what's coming up, it actually seems to be kind of true. DC is moving less away from 6-issue story arcs to just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
And so there have been lots of 1-issue, 2-issue, 3-issue arcs. Sort of, it seems like, and I think Brock, we were talking about this. They're kind of doing like 6-issue arc, a couple smaller arcs, 2-3 issues, 2-3 issues, 1 issue, 2 issues. 6-issue story arc. So you kind of get this downtime between the bigger stories. And I think that's a really good way to go about it because you can really expand out the characters and do something that you don't have to be involved with just this never-ending event.
Like Superman, we got the introduction. We got them kind of coming to establishing themselves on this world. And then we jump to the issue with them at the fair, right? Where it's this...
Yeah, it's a one-shot issue.
Issue, and then we go to the two...
Well, comics used to have this weird problem where in one calendar year, they would have, like, the most crazy amount of ridiculous stuff ever happen to them.
Yeah.
These days, one calendar year is like 4 days in comic books. Like Civil War 2 was like, what, 3 or 4 days? Like it was a very short period of time. And it took place over like 8 months. So like these characters don't do anything within the course of a year. And especially if the story's not good. I'm not saying about Civil War specifically. But if you are not enjoying it, it could really feel like it's being dragged out like crazy.
Well, Wonder Woman's taking the approach of telling the two different stories.
Which I think is interesting.
You know, because the thing is they're going to collect the like trade 1 is going to be the early stuff of the thing, and then
the year 1 stuff.
Then trade 2 is that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to kind of what Charlie said earlier, I think that actually to talk about what Charlie said as opposed to go back to something that Charlie said before the podcast, which is what Toby was talking about, is that I think that there are certain Marvel stories. Did you guys catch all that? That there are certain Marvel stories currently coming out that could be onesie-twosied pulled out for movies or TV shows. I mean, I hate to agree with Brock twice in a single podcast, but Vision as an HBO, which they wouldn't do, but even as a Netflix show, Vision would be a great TV show, the recent run on Vision. I think that I am much bigger fan of cable, but also Old Man Logan than our friend Charlie over here. I would love The Last Ronin as like a movie.
Just do AMC doing Old Man Logan.
They wouldn't do it, but I would love it if they did, man, because it would be great. I haven't read issue 2, but I assume issue 2 is as good as issue number 1 of Thanos. I would love anything more about Thanos because I assume that has been great. I mean, they could do a movie. I mean, like Marvel's trying to diversify their brand and their image, and
I don't see why not that Netflix couldn't do Vision or Old Man Logan.
Vision they could.
Yeah.
I don't. Can they with Logan?
Well, no rights issue, I guess. But what I'm trying to say is, why not? It doesn't have to be just the street level characters in 5 years.
Oh, isn't that exactly what I'm saying?
Yes.
By the way, can we talk about?
I'm agreeing with you, fucker.
Thank you. I love you. But
yeah,
can we talk about how?
Sure.
No, I do. I have deep feelings for you. Can we talk about how it's like? And you might fucking. I mean, speaking of my love for you. How isn't that Asian exploitation, the Totally Awesome Hulk, where they've got like this banner ad for Jeremy Lin?
Yeah, and they play basketball in the issue, so that issue automatically has a big plus. I bought 4 of them.
You did fucking not.
I did.
So it's not, or maybe it is? What's the rule of Asian exploitation? Because that is fucking like Amadeus Cho, the Totally Awesome Asian Hulk.
Well, you need
and
those,
then it's like, by the way, if you didn't understand that this is an Asian man, like holding a basketball on the cover, by the way, we put him as number 7, and we have a huge fucking arrow, and it says Jeremy Lin on it, just in case all of the potential Asian customers are like,
those Asian moms to come in to buy this issue.
You know,
so just so you know, Ryan, this is going to be the new variant. It was the hip hops for the past year, so the new one's going to be basketball people.
No, they're actually playing basketball inside.
I know, it probably sell.
It's a cool issue.
It sell well, though.
Anyway. So I do.
It would have sold well if I didn't buy all your issues.
You know what would make a great movie is Natalie Portman Thor. I say that with 100% sarcasm because I don't.
I'd
think
be down for that.
No. She.
Yeah, I would be.
I don't think that she makes a good Thor. She's a great actress. I don't see her as beating people up, though. I don't see her as an action person.
The Thor part could be played by someone else.
We have a bunch of questions, so I'm going to get to a couple.
You know what's bad is the clone conspiracy. It's fun, Charlie, to your comments a couple weeks ago, but it's fucking so dumb. It's I really wanted to like it.
Next question.
I got a retailer question here for me, which I'll answer quicker than 2 more fun ones. We have a bunch more, but we don't have time for all of these. I'm sorry, guys. We got one from Chesker on Twitter. It says, as a retailer, what recourse do you have for damaged comics? My local comic shop gave me damaged comics for my pull sometimes. Can you return them to the distributor? Should I suck it up and ask for a copy in better condition? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So comic book stores, if the book is damaged...
you guys, this is what me and Ryan do like every week. I go through my pull box and go, what the fuck, Ryan? And I go to the back and pick mine out.
Yeah, you should tell them, hey, look, there is a tiny, slight imperfection in the comic. That is not damaged. No. They can call it damaged. They probably
This is where Ryan rolls his eyes at me when I go, what the fuck is this? And he goes, it's normal comic book, Toby.
But if you get a comic book that has, like, creased pages, one of those, like, where the inside's miscut, crushed corner,
middle inserts falling out of the staples,
sure, something like that, absolutely. The store can and should hopefully catch it. I mean, I miss stuff sometimes, it happens, but can call up the distributor, report as damage, and get a replacement copy. If for whatever reason your shop won't replace your copies,
they're fucking dicks.
There's no other way to say that. There's no reason they can't do that.
I will say it for you.
It is possible, especially on small press books or a really hot title, if it sells out.
That's hard to do if they sold out. That's a different story.
They may not be able to get a replacement. That's a different story. But can they? Yeah, and I do it all the time. So if it's like,
Yeah, I got a Savage
one of your
from
Valiant
Valiant
books.
The Savage, like the middle page, the page in the middle, it was not stapled in.
Yeah,
It, like
no
just
staples,
like I was reading it came out, and so I brought it back, and we got the replacement in this week.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of which, that first Superboy, Damien, I'm losing on that one, huh? You're
First
trying.
print?
Yeah. No go.
Never got back in. Superman 10. Yeah.
eBay it is.
All right. This is from Christopher. He says, what's the nerdiest thing you're into but ashamed of? One that you're proud...
lots.
sorry.
I will not share it, but lots.
Oh.
Well, maybe not so much.
And one that you are proud of. He's ashamed of his weeaboo-ness, but he's also a car guy, a weeaboo.
Of his what?
Weeaboo.
What the hell's a weeaboo?
Japanese anime fan.
Weeaboo is just being a fan of anime?
Weeaboo means like Japan. It's a derogatory term for an anime fan, yeah.
Really?
What the fuck does it even... What's the etymology of that word?
I don't know. But he's also a car guy who can maintain his vehicle and prefers standard. So he's proud of that.
Prefers what? Standard?
Standard, yeah.
As in Hearthstone format?
His car.
Oh. Got it.
You were playing Wild today.
I don't know if...
I play Wild when I'm drunk only.
I don't know.
Not that I'm drunk, by the way. I shouldn't have said that. But
I don't know if there's anything that I'm really ashamed of in my...
Well, you should be fucking ashamed of your love of BVS, Man of Steel, and Suicide Squad. But
the thing is, I work here, and I'm all I talk to are nerds, so I never have to deal with real people. So I'm not ashamed of anything.
Oh, I know what you're secretly ashamed of.
What's that?
Is your new love of Gilmore Girls.
Okay.
Ryan just got red, by the way.
Leanne has marathoned.
Look, he's red.
Leanne marathoned 3 seasons of Gilmore Girls in the last week. Okay, I have only seen a handful of episodes.
Sure.
Yeah, me too.
Sure. You're just only on 2 seasons ahead from Leanne.
Here's the thing about Gilmore Girls. Okay, it's not. The show is kind of bad.
I like how he's trying to explain Gilmore Girls like he does BVS.
Hold on.
He's like, guys, you don't understand. Let me explain it to you guys.
How do you mean bad? It's kind of bad. Why do you say that?
It's you could tell it's shot on one corner of the WB lot. The actors are all fairly wooden. It reads almost more like a stage play than I
agree with that.
TV show drama, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
So it's
and it's definitely in one corner. I don't think that they're wooden, but I do agree that it's a stage play.
They do film a lot of TV shows on that lot.
Oh right, no, you can tell the set because
Ghost Whisperers, same set. Heart of Dixie, same set.
Our friend took us on the tour of the lot.
I wouldn't even say DOS, maybe not.
Our friend took us on the tour of the lot, and you're standing there, and you're like, "Oh yeah, this is every show ever was shot here." She watches Shameless, and half of that show shot on the lot, and you're like, "Oh yeah, it's
Wait, isn't Shameless HBO?
No, Hulu.
Or Showtime, maybe.
Showtime. That's a fucked up show, too, by the way. So, Gilmore Girls, no.
Is that the William H. Macy one?
Yes. You'd hate it. It's super depressing.
My sister just told me that I should really watch and that she thinks I like it. That's awesome.
Wait,
I'm sorry. Pause. Shameless is Showtime is owned by WB.
No, but they can sell them shows.
They can shoot. Anyone can shoot on the lot.
Yeah.
Agent Carter shot on the WB lot.
Yeah.
He could rent it.
What channel is Agent Carter on?
ABC?
That's Disney.
I don't fucking know what channel it was on. Okay.
So,
interesting.
Gilmore Girls.
Yes.
I have not seen enough episodes to make a statement on whether I will watch all 7 seasons or whatever. The thing that I find fascinating about this show is that somehow no one told me about this show. They talk about Twin Peaks. Every band I like is referenced constantly on the show. They're always talking about like The Cure and Bauhaus and Pixies.
Yeah, they are the biggest fucking hipsters in this show.
It is crazy. Yeah. Every episode I'm like...
This is why I brought it up to you, dude.
The dialogue writing is really good on this.
Every episode I'm like...
I get 100% credit for bringing this up to the
Yeah, you
household.
have. I'm like, how has no one ever told me that I should watch this show? Because again, it's not the content of what happens throughout the show is not really interesting to me, but they're like bizarre obsession with 80s music is totally up my alley, and it would get me and I totally would have watched this.
I know what it
when
is.
it was on,
because you know that all the writers were fucking like,
oh yeah,
Infinite Crisis versions of you fucking writing this show.
Apparently,
they still go to 80s nights passionately.
Yeah, like
no, here I know what you're embarrassed about. What was you watched Twilight to see some?
I never got there. I tried to watch it to see Peter Murphy in like a 30-second scene in like the third movie, and I watched the first one and it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't make it.
I did watch a part of Twilight, and I don't know which movie, I don't know which number, I don't know what. At my friend's house, we had a few beers. It was after a football game. It was a bunch of dudes, like dudes, bros, whatever you want to call it.
Wow.
Yeah, and we were watching Twilight, and we're like trying to figure out what was going on. And the girls had the best time ever. They were like,
oh,
the storylines. Yeah, the girls were laughing at us because we're like, this dude is obviously doing this. And they were like, no, it's because blah, 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 blah. We're like, really? And this dude is doing this. They're like, no, it's because blah, 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 blah. It was
so a little
funny.
Behind the conspiracy for you guys. My first date with my wife, a friend that is a lady of mine, actually invited me with her 2 daughters to go see the third Twilight movie. And I was...
That was the first date with your wife?
Hold on. It ended up not being, as it will not surprise anybody. So she says, hey, will you come to see this movie with us? It's the third Twilight movie. I hadn't seen the first 2, so... but, you know, she's going with her 2 daughters. She was actually a friend, coworker, and she says, yeah, you should come out. And I literally had no excuse because she says, like, what are you doing on Tuesday? And it's like,
she roped you in.
What are you going to do when it's fucking Tuesday? Like, I have to fucking come up a podcast to record. I should have said.
You've seen the Peter Murphy performance that he wanted to see?
I don't remember what.
I don't know who it was. But anyway, so I said, oh yeah, Tuesday. I have nothing to do. I'm totally free, so I'm going to this. So my wife, I say, oh hey, on Facebook, I'm actually going to this, movie. Would you like to come along? She tells the story nowadays like I'm going to this movie with this other girl and and her 2 daughters, and would I like to tag along to this fucking Twilight movie? So that's what I'm most embarrassed about is that my wife thinks that my attempted first date. So she said no to me. And I had to grab my balls and ask her for a second date that didn't involve another woman later on, but that's what I'm most embarrassed about, nerdily.
All right.
And what was the other?
Well, it's something that you're proud of. But
I'm proud of. What I'm
proud of all my geekdom, regardless of how it comes off in the real world, I guess.
I'm proud of my /games played in Warcraft, World of Warcraft, that I have not ever looked up and will never look up because it will make me so depressed that it will send me into some tailspin of life.
So a couple years ago, when I started getting really into Disneyland and the Disney stuff, I was, for a brief moment, maybe a little ashamed of that until I discovered that every single person I knew loved Disneyland as well.
I remember this when there was this transition where you were kind of like, I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, nothing. I'm like, you're on Disney shit. Jesus, what are you doing? When it was the pin collecting that you started.
There was a moment where I was like, okay, well, then maybe this is a little weird. I don't know. And then I just found out that every single person I knew.
Then the floodgates open. Now people come and go, oh, when do you go to Disneyland?
Yeah, it's ridiculous now. Every single person that I know was like, oh, yeah, we go 24 hours a day. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
It's because your circle is very similar-minded people.
Exactly.
As for me, I got all these other-minded people. There's people I don't tell shit to. But I'm very easy to answer this question. What am I proud of? Everything, and all my connections I made over the years. What am I embarrassed about?
Everything?
No, pretty much all the stuff I accumulated over the years, because it's a lot. And I'm trying to fix that at this point, but I am rather embarrassed of how much shit I've collected over the years. That's being honest.
Yeah.
There are times that
because I love Charlie's way, by the way. Charlie, I'm really looking up to Charlie, not because he's tall, but also, well, that too. But Charlie has a really good way of, he replaces things, which I cannot do it. Like, I have a giant Optimus, I have a tiny Optimus, I have a small Optimus, I got a fat Optimus, I just got fucking Optimus family. Then I like Gremlins, I got a fucking small Gremlin, big Gremlin, I have the fucking Gremlin family, right? Charlie goes, oh, I got this new Hulk statue. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, you gonna put it next to your small Hulk statue? He goes, no. The other statue is going away because I don't need two of it. I think that's fucking brilliant. I really do think it's brilliant. I just haven't been able to do that yet. I really wish I could one day, or get close to that way.
With action figures, and then statues, I kind of hit I filled a shelf.
Yeah.
I said these are sort of my favorite versions.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't care if more stuff comes out.
But I some of the older ones that replace a really, really cool newer versions, I'm like more able to go, okay, maybe it's time to let these older ones go.
I just kind of reached the point where I looked at it and went, I cannot buy stuff to just throw in a space that I can't actually display this stuff
Yeah,
on.
I got my black hole. I'll be honest about it. I'll be honest about it.
I had to basically say I'm not going to amass stuff for the sake of storing it somewhere.
Yeah.
And that kind of made it very easy to look at stuff and go, am I willing to replace what I have with this? If the answer is yes, I tend to buy the new one. If the answer is no, then I don't. But back to the question at hand and stuff, I outgrew being ashamed of all my geeky stuff. I mean, realistically, I've had plenty of jobs where I wouldn't be like, yeah, I'm totally into comic books and that kind of stuff. But nowadays at work, it's just like...
You work with a bunch of engineers and tech guys.
Yeah,
they're all nerds.
One of the first things I did when I got the job was figured out who the comic book people were. And once I figured that out, I know who I could talk to.
Oh, I forgot one. I actually was a little embarrassed when I went to my first Pokemon video game tournament by myself to get an exclusive Pokemon.
That was funny.
That was a little bit like...
Were you there with a bunch of 12-year-olds?
Yep.
There were more...
You didn't say yes or no.
The video game or the card game?
Video game. So...
They have tournaments for this video game?
Yeah. So here's the funny thing about the tournament. They had, inside was all the kids, and that's where I was, right? All the adults were outside because their tournament hadn't started yet. And so when I went...
you went, it's like, oh, fuck me, what did I do?
Because they're all little kids, and all the the 18 and... Oh, it was 16 and up were all outside.
Yeah.
And there were plenty of 20s and 30s.
And there was 35-year-old Ryan Higgins.
No, there were plenty of people in their 20s and 30s.
I'm picking on you, dude.
But I was like, I'm in a room by myself with all these kids, and I'm like... Just get my Pokemon, all right, let's watch a few tournaments. Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. All I was basically saying is, yes, I went through the phase where I wouldn't really share my geekiness with people. And then I outgrew it, and I'm much happier this way. Even though occasionally I will still have, my parents or something kind of look at me like, you bought a Captain America shield? I'm like, fuck yes, I bought a Captain America shield.
See, I think my family's just accepted it at this point. My dad has even called me and been like, hey, did you see the new Star Wars? I'm like, yeah, of course I saw the new Star Wars. He's like, what's that movie coming out? Guardians of the Galaxy?
Not calling you about Suicide Squad. Oh, that movie.
He knows about all this stuff.
Yeah,
my boss.
Such wildly bad reviews.
My boss's boss, how many up? The VP in our department actually called me into her office.
So one level up.
I wish.
Nobody?
Thank
Fuck
you.
guys.
That's 2
Fuck all
levels.
of you
I
guys.
think it's 2 levels for me. The VP called me in her office, and he goes like, I'm like, okay, what am I doing here? Well, I didn't say that, but it was kind of weird. I usually don't get summoned to her office. But she goes, oh, I heard you're into comic books. I'm like, okay. And she showed me the 2 Titans comics. I guess she was related and knows one of them. They sent her signed copies. Like, look at these copies. Look, they're signed. I'm like, this is awesome. And she goes, yeah, nothing about it. And then I left the office eventually. But yeah, I thought that was funny, though.
That's funny. Brock, you're not embarrassed about any of this stuff.
No. I'd be embarrassed about the stuff I can't display, but I don't care. Fuck it.
All your porno statues?
Yeah, all my Royo statues.
You're not Jim.
I can't wait.
Hey, Jim. Fix your shelf yet?
I'm not as... Oh, shit. I'm not as bad as Jim when it comes to that.
No, he doesn't care.
You don't.
Hey, speaking of displays, Charlie had a project over last week that he's been sharing me with little progress over every couple of days.
Charlie manned up and made himself a real nice bookshelf.
Yeah, it's really
statue
cool.
shelf,
He even had the top where it's all open for all the statues. Nicely done.
Okay, we got
Nicely
one last question here, and this is for Bryce and Charlie.
I give Charlie credit when credit is due.
No, I know, it's awesome. It's awesome. No, it was a really good job.
Literally not paying attention to you, dude.
No, he's
really
nodding
He's
along.
gonna say,
He's not.
thanks,
He's
Toby, I'm going to keep playing Marvel Puzzle Quest.
He's side noting me.
Well, I'm actually just wondering if we're at 2 hours yet.
We're getting there. We're getting there, and I'm sure we'll get there with this question. Very last question, because
I'm still here.
We apparently
Keep talking.
always have to talk about cable for some reason on this podcast. This is from
Why
Dalton.
wouldn't we talk about
I'm
cable?
sorry. I'm not sure that Charlie can put down Marvel Puzzle Quest, so I'll answer as the #1 cable fan.
This is from Dr. Razor on Twitter. He says, I remember Cable having a son in
Yes.
the 90s cartoon.
Yes, this led to a
and in the
diabolical
comics and
Twitter comment from Higgins that I responded to, and I was not in on the joke. Okay.
What happened to him? I have no recollection of Cable having a son.
Yeah, Cable had a son
Dude,
that
what the-
Wolverine killed.
Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about? This was our Twitter debacle, yours and mine. I guess that doesn't narrow it down.
They had the big
I'm sorry,
issue.
that wasn't our Twitter debacle. I'm sorry, that was
No.
Apocalypse's son.
Yeah,
Sorry.
They-
What?
No. But they both start with GE.
You missed the day that white genocide was trending on Twitter.
Yes,
That's where that joke came
Yes, I
from.
definitely missed that and thought that you were serious.
So back when Wolverine didn't have his adamantium,
Yep.
there was Cable's son running around trying to become the new Apocalypse.
Yep. Do you remember his name?
Tyler?
Yeah, but do you remember his code name? Oh, because I do.
Was this when Cyclops very briefly died and became Apocalypse?
Don't buy Charlie any more
Was
time.
that
He
is
still
it-
doesn't
is that
remember,
the arc?
by the way.
Is that the arc?
Where
No,
Cyclops
no,
briefly
this-
died? By the no, that was not. No, that happened later. Are you talking about the 12?
Okay,
Yeah.
what was his... I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. I remember what he looks like, but I can't remember
I'll give you a
his-
hint.
Just fucking tell me, Bryce.
They did it-
Whoa.
You got him to swear.
I'll give you a hint. Sega did it better.
Genesis.
Oh, Brock, #2 cable fan. Oh,
Any
Charlie
event.
bumped down to #3.
I have no
Any
recollection
event,
of this.
Cable's son
It was
kidnaps
when-
Wolverine and
Yeah.
tries to put the adamantium back in him.
Yep, that's true.
And Wolverine killed him.
Yes, that's also true.
Was this during like the Joe Mad run of Uncanny for like?
No, this was in
Before then.
a Wolverine issue with
The
like
adamantium, the holographic cover things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was after Fatal Attractions, before the Joe Mad run. Cable has a son named Genesis, who wants to be.
This is all right before Age
who
of Apocalypse.
wants to be Apocalypse.
Yes.
And basically tries to claim the mantle of Apocalypse.
Yep.
Wow,
And
I
then
have
Wolverine
no
kills him.
recollection of this.
Yeah.
Huh?
It was
Okay.
it was the definitive 90s at its best, with like the most outlandish art and crazy armor costumes and just beautiful over the top storytelling. It was the 90s at its best.
Yeah. Wow. I mean,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sure if
what-
I see the issues, I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember this, but I do not remember this
So,
at all.
Well, I remember there was all the attention like, oh, Wolverine's getting his claws back, and nope.
Although they very unceremoniously gave him back like a year later with
Yeah.
the 12. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, fucking climax fail.
Wait, I thought he got it back
Which
by
is
becoming
not what
a
she
horseman.
said.
Well, yeah, but that was...
Yeah,
First, they
that's what I'm
revealed
talking
the
about.
Oh, okay.
quote-unquote dead Wolverine wasn't really Wolverine and had been replaced and all that
Wait,
fun stuff.
what?
leading up to the 12, Wolverine was replaced with a Skrull, if I recall.
Yes.
And
in the 12, though.
In the prequels to the 12.
It wasn't the 12. Okay.
No, they started the 12 with the big realization that this new character who had been hunting various people was actually Wolverine, and that kind of launched all the 12 stuff. So it was in all the prelude
what
stuff.
What was that story called? The one before Age of Apocalypse.
It might have...
Not Age of Apocalypse. Before Age of Apocalypse was Legion Quest.
Yeah.
But
that wasn't what he's talking about.
No, we're talking about the prelude to the 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, the holographic covers was when he lost his animated.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was Fatal
Which
Attractions.
is wildly different than Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying because we were talking about the hologram one. It's the one on the side, right?
That's
that's
Phalanx.
Phalanx.
Yeah, this was like in the center.
Oh, okay.
No.
And it was like, was it
Fatal
Wolverine?
Attractions, it was just
No, I'm talking about the
trading card
Wolverine.
size.
I'm talking about the Wolverine one where he kills.
It was like
Tyler.
issue 100.
Yeah.
Yes, it was issue 100.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. There's just too many holograms going on.
In any event, yes, that's what happened to him. Wolverine killed him.
Died.
Yeah, so that was the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who was that guy and where did he go? And
By the way, for all of the glasses pusher-uppers that are going to email into and tweeted us about this, I'm sure Genesis came back at some point. I'm sure that he was killed again. I'm sure that he came back again after that, and I'm sure he was killed again.
I can't wait for people to tell me all these times he came back so I can
just
go
wanna
back to the issue.
Hell, didn't they bring back Exodus fairly recently?
Yeah.
No, dude, what? He's like currently back in Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah, fairly recently. Yeah. Out of like nowhere.
So I don't
officially
remember when did he die? Did he die?
Didn't he die at the end of that X-Men
Messiah?
Avengers arc? Like back in the 90s?
Bloodline, blood tie, blood, something with blood.
Sure.
Something with blood that didn't involve Hitman. What was the Avengers? It was blood.
I think it was Blood Ties.
The DC one was Bloodlines. So it was blood ties.
That sounds right.
Yeah, okay.
I think he died in that, right? Because didn't he crash down the...
Oh, Charlie's on the wall.
Wasn't he going to crash down...
the asteroid.
Asteroid M? Yeah.
Asteroid M.
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't remember if he died or not.
Wasn't he around in the Messiah complex?
He's been around way after Blood Ties. Was he around Messiah Complex? I don't remember him being in that, but I do remember him being around since then.
Yeah.
I just...
But I want to say this. So far this year,
Anyway.
Bryce, number one cable fan, score 1, Charlie 0.
Yeah, that's...
I'm just starting that out now.
By the way, that's going to be the score every year.
I'm just starting it out now.
It has
all
been
right,
the score
so Charlie,
every
you're going to have to tie it up.
No. It was...
I answered the question.
Yeah.
All right.
Barely.
We are going to
Only
wrap up.
'cause
We've been
agree
going
with you and everything.
We've been going forever. Thank you guys. We have to thank our good friends at Patreon here. It has not processed Patreon yet, so unfortunately, I think because of the holiday, they're a little bit late on there. So we're going to still thank our good friends from December, but very, very soon we're going to thank everyone that donated for January. So we'll get to you guys very soon.
Yay. Thank you.
Albert Sawyer's got an app on iTunes called Plant Everywhere. Check that out. Julian Titus has a Nerds Without Pants podcast at pixelbit.com. Ryan Hess has the Preach podcast at soundcloud.com/Preach podcast. Make sure you go check out all those good podcasts. They talk about cool stuff. And Ryan, I know Preach they do video as well, so that's on YouTube. Jody Lawson has Canon, the Triad Comics Anthology at triadcomicsstudio.com. As well as our good friends Manoa Place, Sam Che, and Talon Bray. Thank you guys very, very much for all your donations. We got a big list next week of everyone else that's joined in the last couple weeks. ComicConspiracyPodcast.com. That's our podcast URL. You can go there and see all our show notes and crap. Geekbox.net and iTunes as well. Rate and review us, please. It always helps. The Comic Conspiracy, Geekbox.net. That's where you can send us kind of more long-form emails. We also do Twitter questions on Tuesday nights, about 6 p.m. Pacific time. Ryan Higgins, that's my Twitter handle. You can send me a message on there, and I'll read them on here. You can also hit up any of the other guys here on the podcast. Brock is Brock Sager. Larson Bryce, that's Bryce Larsen. Toby is Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. The store is Comics Con Store. Don't forget patreon.com/comicconspiracy. That's where you can donate some money to us and get your name read, and we'll pimp your stuff if you want. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. That's our digital storefront. Tons of crazy sales this past week. Hopefully you didn't miss that.
They had a lot over Christmas, too.
Tons around Christmas. Hopefully you didn't miss that. If you did, always check that site often, every day. There's always something new coming up. Geekbox, Comedy Button, Good Job Right Now, Talk Podcast, Manga Machinations. Those are all our podcasts. Make sure you give those a listen. Thank you guys for being on. We had a little break here while we did our best of episodes, but we're back. It's 2017, and we got a lot of good stuff for the rest of this year. So, but for now, that's it. We're going to go. Goodbye.